Welcome to This Week in Wyoming Cowboys Sports here on ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports, and as always on WyomingAthletics.org. I'm Jason Grefer. As always, we're joined by Wyoming Athletic Director Jan Wilking. Jan, how are you, first of all, with the family and trying to have limited contact and try and work with all your staff during this time?
I'm doing fine. I think everybody's healthy. So, all you can ask for at this point is that people are healthy and practicing good social distancing.
Absolutely, and good to hear that everybody's safe and healthy there. Last time we talked, we were kind of putting a bow on the winter season and kind of starting to move towards the spring. Well, obviously that's not happening, at least as of the moment. So let's go back to when everything surrounding COVID-19 was really ramping up. Right before everybody was sent home, what was the vibe around the high school at the time? What was the buzz?
I think the same as it is now, just a lot of uncertainty. I think, I'm nearing 50 and this has never happened in anyone's lifetime. So I think, just the uncertainty within the adults, and then certainly for a high schooler, a lot of, I don't think fear, I just think unsure. When are we going to come back? Are we going to come back? And then the longer it lingers, it goes to the same thing. What now? What are we doing to fill our time, and how are we going to all get through this?
Sure, absolutely. So spring sports were just about to get underway. I think some were even actually starting their seasons. When everything was decided upon that not only the winter season, postseason was postponed and subsequently canceled, but now spring sports were on hold. What were those conversations like between yourself and the coaches of said spring sports?
We've talked a lot. They have more questions than I have answers, and that's okay. Coaches by nature are passionate about their sport. They're passionate about teaching their sport, and they're passionate about their student athletes. And I think, to know the disappointment that in particular those seniors are going through right now, and really all the student athletes, I think there's a lot of emotion tied to that on all sides. There's just a lot of communication, a lot of, can we do this? Can we do this? We know we're not allowed to be with them, coaching them, but can we schedule Google Meet with them? Can we schedule Zoom time with them? All those types of things. So I would say if there's one word to summarize the spring right now, it's emotion. It's been hard for those kids and coaches, I know.
And in those discussions with coaches, has mental health wellness been something that's been talked about and something that's been stressed to the kids, that you got to find ways to kind of keep yourself sane during these very difficult times?
A lot of discussion on mental health, a lot of discussion on just checking in on your student athletes, checking in on each other. No one is prepared for this. And certainly those families that are going through, either if somebody's sick or caregivers, or, maybe mom or dad is a frontline person, working in a hospital, or firemen, policemen. I mean, those people really, God bless them, because to get through that and to still have any sense of normalcy in your family, I mean, it's just unprecedented.
Sure, absolutely. During this time, have you yourself maybe found your being more of a role of a type of a counselor in that respect? Have coaches and athletes come to you and said, I don't know what to do here. This is really hard?
It is honestly a lot of counseling, but really it's just connecting with people and making sure that, I don't have any answers to their questions, but just know if you need to talk about it, we can talk about it. We can certainly have Zoom and Google discussions, which we've had many of.
Yeah.
A lot of emails back and forth, a lot of text. And, it's so much bigger than sports, but, in our role, this is our community that we're, I don't want to say responsible for, but kind of responsible for, to make sure that they know, hey, I'm here to talk if you want to talk, or if you have questions. Number one, no, I don't have the answers, but we can talk through it.
Sure. So during this time when everybody's trying to, keep themselves prepared, not only mentally, physically, and whatnot, Have you heard any or seen any kind of fun, lighthearted ways your coaches and student athletes have been able to work their way through this on a day-to-day basis?
There have been many fun and funny things that people have creatively done. Everything from our senior lacrosse, boys lacrosse parents put up all the senior banners along one of their businesses along Springfield Pike for all to see. They have some of the teams are doing Google or Zoom meetings. A lot of planning. I think that's a key to this too, is however we come out of this on the other end, we need to make sure we're ready to go when the governor or the president or whomever says, okay, you can get back to any sense of normalcy. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure we're ready to go. So like our cheerleading coaches right now are planning online tryouts for cheerleading because we would be doing that right now in the gym. So I think really just trying to prepare, and sometimes that comes across in a funny way. If it can, great. I think people are all in for humor right now.
Yeah.
But again, just trying to get through the day to day, one day at a time for sure.
Absolutely. You mentioned Governor DeWine. Obviously, a stay-at-home order is in place for really everybody in the state of Ohio, save for essential employees, which I believe you've been deemed an essential employee. Is that correct?
Essential / not so essential, right?
So with that, pretty much everybody having to stay home, work from home, or what have you, students having to do online learning. For you yourself, how much are you able to get done on a daily basis compared to what it would be if we were under quote unquote normal circumstances? How much different is that for you?
The day to day is very different. A typical day in the spring, it's everything from working on fields to cutting grass sometimes, not my own grass, the fields, and my own grass actually, but, to games at night, to just normal athletic director things, responding to emails, setting up senior nights. We haven't even had our winter banquet yet. So trying to get, those types of things, none of that is happening right now. And so it really becomes more of what ways can you connect with the people that you need to connect with? How can you make sure everybody's on track so that, again, at the other end of this, when we come out of this, that we are ready to go and have everything lined up that we need to have lined up.
So since everything is kind of playing by ear and nobody's really obviously been through this before, how do you go about logistically with your staff, with administration, trying to come up with an idea to get some of these things accomplished? You talked about the winter banquet that hasn't been held yet, other things like that. How do you even begin to start that process going into this unprecedented time?
It's a lot of creativity. So we're trying to get the actual awards. The place where we get our awards was closed down because apparently awards aren't essential as well. So I don't even have the awards to put together a mock awards ceremony. So once we get those, the plan is we're going to do a virtual awards ceremony if we can't get together. In 3 weeks, we're going to have our third signing ceremony for student athletes who are going to pick a college. They've already picked a college, but the formal signing ceremony. So, I said to them yesterday, one way or another, we're going to have it. I don't know what it's going to look like. It might be in Pendry, which is where we normally do it, but it also might be in your living room. So be thinking about how you want to do that. So we'll see. It's just, we just all kind of have to be flexible and play it by ear.
And with your spring sports now, again, because right now it's still, I believe, suspended. The spring season has not been officially canceled to this point. How are the spring student athletes balancing this? I have to stay at home, but I have to get online learning done. But I still have to stay in shape. I still have to train because there's still a possibility of a season here.
Yeah, I think that has to be the most creative. I've seen more kids running in Wyoming than I've ever seen in my life, which is great. They're making weights out of crazy things that I see in their garages. yesterday my son was snapping the football to his sister who has no interest in football, and I don't. But I mean, I just think there's a lot of that going on. This is what I need to do? Figure out a way to get it done, and it's creative. Some of it's creative.
Are you having to step back and field some snaps yourself?
I have, in fact, done that. My arm is sore from throwing baseballs and field hockey, and we played soccer. I much prefer the Uno over any of it.
So are you even more eager to get back in school so maybe you can talk to your trainer and get yourself checked out?
Yes, yes.
Well, then another reason why we need to get back to normal. One of the things I also wanted to talk about here before we let you go is that obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the spring, and the OHSAA has already said that we're already looking down the road towards the fall and the possibility that the fall sports need to be looked at and maybe even postponed. We don't know yet. We still have to get through the spring season, but are you preparing for that possibility as well, that the fall sports may be impacted? And if you've gotten that far yet, what kind of plans are being made at Wyoming to try to work through that?
So I can't even think about the fall right now with you. And that's, I mean, in all seriousness,
sure.
It's hard enough the way winter ended, and then to think what we're going to do with spring. I feel like if there's any chance that we can get back and just have a limited spring season, let's do it in a safe, responsible way. I don't know if that's possible because I have no idea. I listen every day at 2:00 to what the curve and all of these things are doing, and so I don't know. I'm going to hold out hope. Here's what I think about fall, and this is just, one person's opinion. I hope very much that we're back to some normalcy, whatever that looks like in the fall. It might look different than what it did last fall in terms of, I have no idea. Will we be taking kids' temperatures before they can play and practice and these types of things? Will we be limiting spectators? I have no idea what that looks like, but it's best for students. And I think our society in general to try to get back to little pieces of whatever normal is. And so if that has to look a little different or means more work or more, diligence on our part, I'll speak for myself, all in to get back to any kind of kids playing sports or kids having a theater production or kids being able to be on stage and, have a band concert or a choir whatever that is, man, what I wouldn't give to drive my kids' soccer carpool right now, the thing I could.
Does that go along with getting them out of the house as well?
Oh, 100%.
Well, that's hopefully, as you said, that's well said. And at some point we can return to a normal sense of life again compared to where we are now. Jan, we want to thank you so much for your time here and joining us here once again. You and your family stay safe, and we'll reconvene soon.
Sounds good.
All right. That is Jan Wilking, Wyoming High School Athletic Director, joining us here on the AD Podcast here on ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.